This is Geraldo Rivera. There's more Geraldo tonight at 9 after Mark Levin right here on 1250 WTMA, Charleston's Big Talker.
More conversation, less confrontation. Governor Mike Huckabee.
Well, big win in South Carolina last night for Mark Sanford. He called himself the Lazarus of South Carolina politics, and might be a pretty good description. Be honest with you, when he made that bizarre announcement back a few years ago at the state capital of South Carolina, when he first revealed the whole Argentine mistress and all of that, I just sat in disbelief. I've known Mark many, many years. We were governors during the same period of time, and I thought, he's done. There's no way he'll finish his term. I remember telling Andre Bauer, the then lieutenant governor, you better prepare to take the office, dude, because you're going to be being sworn in 30 days or less. Much to all of our surprise, he stayed in there, finished the term, and then shocked everybody even more, and he said, I'm going to have a comeback. We thought, really? Well, he proved he was right, and the rest of us were wrong. And last night, he declared victory over Elizabeth Colbert Bush by a margin of 54 to 45%. Joining me is Tara Servatius, who is the host of Tara on TMA every morning from 5:30 to 10 on our Charleston affiliate, WTMA. Tara, thanks for joining us today. And I know you've been up all night long doing this stuff.
Yeah, I have, but I love it. Hey, Mike, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, we appreciate your coming on, because I think your perspective is going to be the best that we're going to be able to get. This is your area. You cover this all the time. How did Mark Sanford stage such an incredible comeback, both in the primary and in the general election?
Well, okay, I know I've read the comment sections. I know the rest of the country thinks we're nuts. And I know Republicans in the rest of the country think we must be nuts. But Mark Sanford beat out 15 other Republicans to win that primary. And let me tell you why. You know, if you do talk radio, you get that call almost every day, Mike. And I know I've heard it on your show, where the guy calls in and goes, we just had better politicians. If we just had a guy who would go to D.C. and he'll vote against all the pork, his own party's pork if he's a Republican, and the Democrats' pork, and he'll be serious, and he's going to, you know, he'll even vote against the pork dredging in his own district, while his own party screams at him and while the newspapers scream at him, because he's so committed to his fiscal principles. He's so committed to not bankrupting our children. That guy is Mark Sanford. And people here get it. The problem with Mark Sanford is that guy is damaged. He's damaged by the affair. But people here are so grateful. They have watched him take a licking over the years from the local media, like I said, the local Republicans, his own party, for voting against and vetoing their pork. They hate him here, but the voters love him. They're so loyal to him for that, because he does the one thing politicians just won't do, which is stare down anybody who says, you know, we want to spend some money, even his own party. So that's why people here love Mark Sanford. That's why they voted for him over 15 other Republicans. It's why they've forgiven him for the affair, when I don't think they'd have forgiven any other politician, Mike.
I think that's an important point to make, that it was kind of a unique connection to Mark Sanford, because regardless of whether he violated his own personal or moral principles, he has never violated his political principles.
Now, I mean, this is a guy, you remember, he didn't want the stimulus money. I mean, do you remember the uproar over that from his own party?
I remember when he walked into the state capitol, Tara, with 2 little pigs under his arm.
Oh, the people loved that.
People loved it, and everybody in the Capitol. I remember talking to some South Carolina Republican legislators, and they were fuming. They were furious. And you're right. Everybody I talked to in South Carolina thought it was the greatest thing ever, and they loved it.
Yep, people are so desperate in this country, Mike, to combat the spending. And, you know, like me, I'm a mom of 3. I see them bankrupting my children. And I voted for Mark Sanford, and I did because this is what I told my listeners. I said, I would not date Mark Sanford, okay? But I would trust him more than 90% of the people in Congress with my children's money up there at the Capitol. And that's what made the difference.
All right, what about the charge that Elizabeth Colbert Bush and the Democrats overplayed the personal stuff and it backfired? Is that part of this?
No, that's not what happened.
Okay.
I don't think it is. It's what they're saying nationally. The Democrats are trying to cover their tail. No, that's not what happened at all. What happened was that some of us did some political research on her and found out she was running around town telling everybody she was going to go to Washington and support the unions, and she didn't know she was on tape. And the media was telling us, you know how the media does, that she's really a conservative and she's one of us. And
Right.
Yeah, well, that tape got out, and she had 500 tweets, and she sounded, like Nancy Pelosi, and she deleted those. Those came back to light. And so, he was 10 points down. People were willing to let Mark Sanford, struggle a bit there. And then stuff on her started coming out, and his message started coming out. And I think Republicans went, nah, we're going to put this guy back in.
One observation that some of my friends in South Carolina have told me is that Mark Sanford really did work his backside off. He did not sit around and just run TV spots.
No, he didn't. I've never seen anything like it, Mike. He walked into halls packed with Republicans. And I mean, one Republican woman walked right up to him in front of everyone and said, I don't like you and I'm not voting for you. I didn't vote for you in the past, but I'm going to vote for you now against her. And he took that over and over. I saw it on multiple occasions. I've never seen a person take a beating like he did in public. He earned the seat, Mike. He did.
What does this say to the rest of the country? The Democrats really put a lot of hope on this race, even though, the district is overwhelmingly Republican. It hadn't been a Democrat in that seat 30 years. Tim Scott won by 27 points. But the Democrats really said, okay, this is going to prove that we can win, and we're going to retake the House in 2014. Do you think they're kind of damaged goods themselves today?
Oh, I think they're terribly damaged goods. I think that they couldn't win this race because people are so appalled down here by what they're doing in Washington. But you know who else this was a message to, Mike? And this is what's getting missed. This is a message to the National Republican Party, to the NRCC, who not only backed out of the race in the middle of this thing, they drop-kicked Mark Sanford, publicly humiliated him. And then all the folks down here in North Carolina, all of us Republicans, said, no, you will not. He's not going to support your tax increase, John Boehner. He's not going to support this stuff. And we sent him up there. I mean, this was a rebellion against the Democrats, but also against the status quo in Washington, and that includes the Republicans, too. It's one of the things that sort of, I think, actually helped Mark Sanford.
That wouldn't surprise me because I think last year I was so angry at the committees, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the RNC. They sit in these rarefied air rooms of D.C., and they have the attitude that they can pick who the voters of a district ought to be for or against. And I'm just sick of it. Personally, I think it's time to just almost say, and I've told people, don't give a dime to these guys. Give it to the candidates that you want to give it to. But quit giving it to these committees if they're not going to be sensitive to what the people in those areas and states actually want.
Absolutely. And, the only person who would help Mark Sanford when no one would touch him, I have to say, was Rand Paul and Ron Paul. They came down here after the NRCC abandoned him, and they endorsed him. And then, you started having Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham and other people come out of the woodwork to support his candidacy. But, the way it was looked at was that the National Republican, power structure was against him. And like I said, I think that helped him because, their spending is not wanted in South Carolina either. This is a funny place politically, but then that, Mike.
Boy, do I ever. I tell you one thing. I've told folks, if you want to play politics in South Carolina, you better be prepared, to go big because you're going to come out of there with some blood coming down your face when it's over.
Yes, you will.
It ain't a softball state.
No.
Tara Servatius, what a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Tara Servatius, who is the host of Tara on TMA in the mornings at our affiliate in Charleston, WTMA. When we come back, we'll give you an update on Benghazi, and we'll talk about what's going on along the border, or what's not going on along the border.